Folks, we have a super fascinating mystery right before us. The government is very determined that every school-going child should be in school on January 4th, 2021. Yeah, barely a few weeks away. The president assured all Kenyans that the safety of all learners will be top priority as they go back to school. Which means that parents should not try to use this as an excuse. Parents should not be worried about the safety of the young ones. And that's okay, so far. But restrictions in other areas of life in Kenya remain firmly in place. Curfews, for instance, are still very much around. And naturally, some of these restrictions still have a major impact on the ability of parents to earn a livelihood, to earn money, to facilitate the return of their children to school. And it is interesting that in his instructions yesterday, the head of state appealed to parents to facilitate their children for next year's reopening of schools. And the directive to all chiefs across the country to ensure that all learners are in school clearly tells you, if you understand Kenya, that there will be consequences for the parents who don't make it in getting their kids back to school. Which also tells you that the government is aware that parents will be reluctant to take their children back to school on 4th January. Either because of fear or because of lack of finances. Now, it is still top on our minds what happened in October when schools in Kenya were reopened. We had some very alarming reports of teachers passing on from the virus and some learners being infected. I'm sure you remember that. And sadly, we even had some people cooking stories which were fed to a certain media house, and broadcast to the entire country. Of course, that particular media house later apologized when the Ministry of Education insisted that the story was not true. Remember the heart-wrenching story of a young boy who was very talented in soccer in some boarding school in Kisumu? And to date, nobody has attempted to analyze the possible motives of going to such great lengths to cook a story and put it out there in the media. Nobody has analyzed that. Maybe what most Kenyans have done is they've just said it's some crackpot, some crazy guy. And nobody has linked it to the very strange behavior of the virus when it was clear that schools were going to be reopened in Kenya. Nobody has attempted to do that. Coincidence? Maybe. But one would be excused for stating the simple truth that when the coincidences are too many, iko kitu. And no scientists have come out to analyze for us why the same children, many of whom were not observing the protocols at home, many of whom got involved in many unsupervised activities as their parents went out to look for food to put on the table. No scientist has explained to us why there were no stories, cooked or real, that emerged. But however, the minute schools were reopened in early October, very many things started happening across the country. Quite a number of schools were shut down and remain shut as we speak. Bottom line, there is a real mystery here that needs to be explained and will probably not be explained, because clearly the government seems to know something that the rest of us Kenyans do not know. And even just by looking at the instructions from the head of state yesterday, the government is very much aware of what we don't seem to know, and what we fear, and what we may lack in enabling our children to return to school after almost a year of doing nothing at home. Now, here is the super fascinating bird's eye view of the situation. There seems to be some dark, hidden, mysterious, and unknown force that is determined that schools in Kenya should not be reopened anytime soon. And there's plenty of evidence to support this. Videos on social media of students at a school crying and mourning the passing on of their teacher. The rush to test students and teachers after the school has been reopened instead of before the reopening of that particular school. Don't you find that strange? Does it not make more sense to test before the school is reopened and keep out the infected and only allow into the schools the ones that have been tested? But of course, that will not make such a big headline as allowing everybody back into school and then doing testing and making the results public, so that some parents find out in the media that some people have tested positive at the school where their loved one is going. And it seems that the government has decided to fight against these dark forces with everything they have. Hence the directive issued by the head of state yesterday at the Jamhuri Day celebrations at Nyayo Stadium in Nairobi. Na ndovu zikipigana, ndovu mbili zenye nguvu zikipigana, ni nyasi huumia. And therefore parents are caught in the middle. And therefore, if nothing changes between now and the 4th of January, barely 2 weeks away, some parents will have the very uncomfortable situation of deciding what they fear more, the mighty government of Kenya or the virus. Now just imagine for a minute what a terrible choice for any parent to have to make. Clearly, what the very well-informed government of Kenya is telling us is that schools are safe, but other areas of our lives are still not safe, which is extremely confusing, scientifically and otherwise. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.